broadcasting the best of retro and modern gaming, with your hosts, the incomparable Dinky Dana, and myself, John Pio of Mamecade. Welcome to Hit Reset Radio. Hello, friends, and thanks for tuning in again with us, this episode of Hit Reset Radio. Today is August 4th, episode number 12. I'm John Pio. He's Dinky Dana. How you doing, Dinky?
I'm doing great.
It's been a while since we spoke, but I know we've been really busy lately. How about yourself?
Yep, yeah, lots of stuff going on. Can't wait to talk about it. Gonna be a good one.
All right, so let's jump right into it. What you got?
Well, first, I'd like to mention the giveaway that we did 2 episodes ago, and then we got the winner, CrossFadeKing. I sent him out his game, and he put up his very first video showing the game that we sent him. So that was really cool. I'm going to put a link to that. I just wanted to mention it, tell him thanks for putting up that video. It was really cool seeing his game room. He's got all kinds of game stuff in the background, so it was really cool knowing that he's actually a big gamer and not just some guy who left a comment. So it was cool cool that he put up that video. I really appreciated that.
Nice. So we basically deflowered CrossFadeKing.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's put one up since. I checked about a week or so ago, and he's still just had the one. So maybe he'll be putting up more videos.
Well, we're putting some pressure on him right now. We've got all the listeners saying CrossFadeKing. If he hasn't put a video up, make sure you comment on the video that he put up for the gift that he received that you want a video from him so he gets into the community.
Yeah.
Force him.
Yeah, so I'll put a link to that video on the Hit Reset Radio website. So click that, go on over, check them out. On your end, what were you up to, man? You did something awesome on your YouTube channel.
I had such a blast doing this. Back in October, I went to Comic-Con in New York City, and I got to meet this fellow named Drew from Jersey Jack Pinball, and we did a little impromptu kind of interview. Like I said, would you mind if I spoke to you about this new pinball machine that you're putting out, which was at the time the Wizard of Oz? And he was like, yeah, sure. And believe it or not, I have Mamecade business cards, and I brought them to the convention just in case, to show people that, I'm not just a Joe Schmo, that I actually have a channel that I could, give them a little publicity with.
Yeah.
And he saw the name Mamecade, and he was like, you mean Mame the emulator? I said, yeah. And he mentioned, he goes, I made a video game years ago. I said, I don't know, what game are you talking about? And he said, I made a game called Ninja Baseball Batman. And I've heard the game before. I know James Rolfe had mentioned it in a video of his. And I said, well, you know what? One day we've got to discuss that. So I've spoken to him off and on since October. He contacted me one day and he's like, hey, John, I'd like to do that interview with you because I've got some things developing. And we set it up and we had this fantastic interview. If anybody is interested in old time video games, this came out in 93. And if you're interested in all those old-time games, it's a beat-em-up game. He talks about working for Sega. What a nice guy. And he's working on getting Ninja Baseball Batman into a comic book. He talks about IREM, the company that produced the game. He put it up on his website, and it's on my channel also. But if you want to see the interview, and I think it came out really well, and he's a fantastic guy. And if you want to know the history or a slice of the history of arcade machines, go to ninjabaseballbatman.com. Now, I know that's hard to remember. ninjabaseballbatman.com. It's fantastic, and he's a fantastic guy. And any support he can get is really appreciated by me and by Drew. That was awesome.
One thing that I liked when you were doing that is he goes over how he chose that name for the game, because it's a pretty silly name. Yeah, so he had a good explanation for that and everything. So the interview was really good. And then for anybody listening, the games, it kind of reminded me of those old arcade beat 'em ups, like the X-Men and those Ninja Turtle ones back in the day.
Yeah.
So they were a lot of fun. If that ever came to Xbox Live or anything like that, I think he would make some cash on that,
Yeah, it's weird because the only way you can play this game right now is on MAME. And that's what caught his eye when I gave him my card. And he really, really wants to get it back into the home consoles or portable, but IREM owns the rights to anything video game related to it, and he owns the rights to everything else, whatever it may be, books, movies, cartoons, comics. So he's trying to get it back in the public eye. And eventually, if there's any interest besides what we're developing right now, maybe IREM might decide to put it out. I mean, they've got it and they've been sitting on it for 20 years.
Yeah, especially with all this DLC stuff now, like all the indie games and everything.
Yep.
And I mean, it's not as big a deal. You don't have to have a big $60 budget release or anything. You could just release it for a $10 download.
It's already coded, Dinky. It's just a matter of converting it and putting it up. It's a done project. It would cost virtually nothing.
Yeah, you wonder why they just won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they want him to do the work to make the publicity, and then once it's up there, I'm sure they'll release it.
It made me want to play it. I was watching you. There are all like the enemies are the cool part too. They have all these silly enemies like the what was the one's name? Mitt Muncher.
The Mitt Munchers. Well, the weird thing is they're all baseball themed related,
Yeah.
so everything has to do with baseball. The mitts come to life, giant screwballs, umpires with two heads, really bizarre, surreal kind of things. But it and it makes sense because in Japan, he mentions that he picked these particular things where the ninja baseball players because IREM was the company that was going to put it out, and in Japan, baseball is just huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. So check out ninjabaseballbatman.com.
And you know what I think is funny? I forget the guy's name, but he definitely looks like that guy from Double Dare.
Oh, Mark Summers.
Yeah, yeah, Mark Summers. I was
Mark
watching,
Summers.
I was watching it and I see the interview and I'm like, wait a second, is that Mark Summers?
He does look a little bit like Mark Summers. You know, Mark Summers is like a huge time producer now. He
Yeah.
makes big TV shows.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I was like, I forgot what show he was from.
Double Dare.
I was like,
Wow.
it really looks like him. And
He does. He does. No, you're right. That's who he reminds me of, Mark
Yeah.
Summers.
you put up that video for the Jersey Jack pinball. When was that? Like a year ago, probably.
That was back in October when I originally interviewed him at Comic-Con. It was weird. He was there and he looked like the guy to talk to. He had a suit on. So I approached him and he was very generous. He told me everything about the game and we exchanged cards. And that's the way it works, folks. I mean, you got to reach out and you make friends and you make connections. And lo and behold, we've made friends. And now hopefully I can assist him progress his hope of making this game back into your hands.
Yeah, they're gonna be coming out with that comic book when the end of this year, sometime, right?
Well, let's see. They told me September. And as far as I know, it's still on track. And it will coincide with the 20-year anniversary of Ninja Baseball Batman. In fact, I did interview the artist as well. So I'm going to finish putting that video together.
Nice.
And I will put that together and give it to them and maybe post it on something that also I can get some publicity for them.
Cool. Speaking of pinball, the Papa Championships are coming up.
Every year.
Yeah, they're in 2 weeks.
So they're in your backyard, aren't they?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. Yeah, it's like 25 minutes from my place.
Wow.
So I think I might see. I don't know. I'll either see if my friends want to go or my dad. He always liked pinball and stuff, so he might want to go with me. But another thing that opened up right down the street for me. I shot you a text. There's this like pinball arcade cafe that just opened up 2 blocks from my apartment.
That's my dream business. That's what I want to do.
And I walked in and I was like, the first day I went, they weren't open. So I was looking in the window and I'm like, that place looks cool. So I went in with my friend like a week later or so, and they only had about 4 machines in there. And I talked to the guy, and he said they had to get some kind of license or something so that he had 12 to 15 more machines upstairs, and they couldn't I guess have that section open yet until they got approved.
Right.
But I walk into this place and they serve sandwiches, drinks, nothing alcoholic. They have it's a coffee shop too, and you walk in, and the floor is just like you're in a big pinball machine.
Oh,
So
wow.
they have the flippers right when you go in, and then they're not actually lights, but they're lit up on the ground. So it looks like all those lit up like red circles and everything. It's a really cool layout for the place.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Did you have to like pay an entry fee and then everything is free, or do you play per game?
You just play per game. Yeah, you go in and they do tokens. They have you give. I mean, it's equivalent $1 for four tokens. And then
Okay.
you just play. Yeah, so if he said it's probably gonna be within the month that they're gonna get that upstairs unlocked. Well, I say unlocked like it's a video game. They're gonna get the license for it.
It's probably like a certificate of occupancy they've got to clear for the extra room.
Yeah, so after they do that, I may go down and do a video and show you what I wanted to take a video of the floor just to show you.
Oh, you should have. That would have been
Yeah.
great.
Well, yeah, I was the only one in there. It would have been a little weird.
The floor would be yours.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, this is really cool. I have to take a video of the floor so I can send it to my friend over in New York.
Sweet.
But yeah, so that was cool. I figured bring that up. I figured you wouldn't be going to the Poppet Championships, but
I always say I've got to go, but damn it, if my life isn't filled with all kinds of complications and stuff,
yeah,
maybe. I don't know. If I can, I'll definitely give you a call and we'll hook up. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other YouTubers there. Arcade Hunters, Nick from Arcade Hunters, I guarantee will be there. So we'll see.
and I think that I don't know the guy's name, but the guy from that classic game room or whatever.
Yeah, he's always there.
Yeah, he apparently goes there all the time because he lives right in Pittsburgh too. So
Uh-huh.
wonder if I'll see him up there.
Classic Game Room, you mean, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's always in there.
yeah. So that'll be pretty cool. Even though I suck at pinball, although it did make me feel better. I was playing and I let my other friend play, and he was way worse than me. So
Yeah, he sucked worse than
I
you.
was like, at least I'm not that bad. He had
You
like,
see?
I don't know if he'd ever played pinball before. Maybe
See,
once.
pinball is like an analogy of life. No matter how bad your life is, there's always someone that's going to be playing pinball or life worse off than you.
Oh, that's a good one. He'll be listening to this and he'll be like, that asshole. Oh man, yeah. So I stopped in there. I'll do a video if I can get the chance.
Do it. I want to see it. I'm dying to see that place.
Yeah. Another thing that I've been doing is I mentioned, well, actually, you mentioned at the end of the last episode that I was working on that collection manager on my website.
I absolutely love the changes you've put to it since last time. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why you mentioned it last time, and I was like, well, it's not quite ready to announce yet, you know. But so I pretty much made a version 2.0, I guess. You know, the first version was pretty basic. I invited a few people to try and beta test it. Sinister Moon put a bunch of games in. Metal King 79 did.
Two great guys. They're both awesome guys.
Yeah, they're always listening to the podcast and stuff. So I figured I'd send them an invite. And so far, I've gotten over 5,000 games people have put in.
Wow, since the last podcast?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I think I invited the first person like a week before last podcast.
That's awesome. No, I just took a look at it and I updated it with some of the new changes you put together. I mean, if you like to put down and collect and show your collection off, Dinky's site is a fantastic place to do it. And you've got now links to eBay and Amazon, so you can click it and get updates and see what they're going for nowadays. It's fantastic, Dink. Good job.
Yeah, and I figured, well, a lot of people always ask, you know, how do you collect your stuff and how do you organize everything? And what I used to always do is I would have to make Excel sheets. And I know, like, one of the reasons I invited Sinister Moon is because on their Operation Killscreen podcast, he was saying that he printed out a list and he just highlighted each game that he had. So he had to go through and highlight each one for his Atari 2600.
Oh, so he printed a master list and just highlighted what he owned?
Yeah, which is what I used to do too. I know a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
And they'll just print it out and they'll either in Excel and they'll check whether they have the box, the manual, or whatever.
Right.
So I figured, I mean, I was kind of building it for myself to start, and then I realized that I can code it well enough that everybody can use it. So
Build it and they will come.
yeah. So now it's live. It's working. I'm still going to be updating a bunch of stuff. Yeah, like the eBay and Amazon, I figure I can't always update the prices daily or anything. So at least that way, if somebody's really interested in buying the game, they can click on that eBay or Amazon link, see what the live current eBay price is, which is basically where everything's based off of now.
I think that's brilliant. Right within the site. You don't have to leave the site to verify it. Genius.
Yeah, and Sinister Moon, he put in like 270 Atari 2600 games. That's the only console he even put in.
Well, he loves, his Atari. He's an
Yeah.
Atari 2600 guy.
I was surprised he didn't put in the Intellivision. He looked on mine. I haven't put all my Intellivision games in there.
Yeah.
And he came over and he was like yelling at me because I only had 2 Intellivision games. Yeah, and then Metal King, he put in a ton, man. He had like, I don't know, his collection's up to like $6,000 or something now.
Wow.
Yeah, he has a ton of PS3 games. Yeah, it's cool. People can come over. I'm getting a lot of people just not even from YouTube, just people who stop onto my site and start putting in their video game collection and everything. So if anyone's interested, head on over to dinkydana.com and put them all in there and let me know how you like it.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Dink, I got a question for you.
What's that?
You know a lot of hardcore collectors. I mean, collectors that spend a lot of money on all these classic games, and some of them are almost irreplaceable. Do you know of anybody, like, does anybody actually insure their collections?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure Gamester does. I can't
Yeah.
remember because I know I was talking to him a while back.
Like, what if you have a fire or something, or some catastrophic event?
Yeah, if you're gonna have a fire or something, and then they want documentation of all your games, and
Yeah.
before, how would you document all your stuff? You could either have them in the Excel list or whatever. But Gamester and I were joking about we put up all these YouTube videos, so if anything ever happens, we have proof that we have these games.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know,
That's right.
so it kind of helps out a little bit in that situation. But
That's right. And your service actually is kind of like an appraisal service too. I mean, I know, for instance, when you get art or jewelry appraised for insurance purposes, someone has to check it out. So your service actually gives a really good estimate of what they're worth. So hey, dudes, if you have thousands of dollars in cartridges and systems that are irreplaceable and you've had it, you've been collecting since God knows when, you might want to consider insuring it if you live in like Hurricane Alley or something.
yeah, I mean, I actually put some of my stuff on like renter's insurance.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Oh, you're a smart dude.
hardly costs anything. It's like $5 or $10
Yeah,
maybe.
it's exactly. It's totally worth it. I mean, I know a lot of collectors listen to this podcast, and if you're smart, spend the money. I mean, if you're willing to spend $80 for one cartridge, spend a little money and protect your investment.
Yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
yeah, like, it'd be like $50 a year.
Yeah,
And it
I
is
know.
because I live like above a bakery, and who knows what would go on down like with their if one of their
The
machines
ovens catch fire.
malfunctions or something. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous about it. And the other thing that's cool too is which about my collection manager, it's nice because as you put in your games, it'll automatically tally up how much your collection's worth.
I
So
know. It's
I
freaking
mean,
great.
it's pretty neat. I'm trying to think of a way to have it calculate box, like if you have the box, if you have all that stuff.
Right.
And yeah, I put mine in there. I have 1,500 games listed in there,
Jesus
and
Christ.
it says the collection's worth like 14 grand,
Holy crap.
and that's without any boxes included or anything. So it's kind of cool just to see that. And
Dude,
in the
promise me something, Dinky. At some point, after you're done with all this, at some point, add pinball machines. Put some pinball machines in there.
well, that's the thing that I'm going to be working on, and it's going to be done pretty soon. Which I don't know. Maybe you can give me some ideas on how I should set it up. But what I'm
Yeah.
going to do is I'm going to have it so that you can add your own collection. So if you want to, like Japanese Famicom, I don't have any price guide for that.
Right.
So if somebody has a collection for that, what I'm going to have is they can say create a collection, and you could put in, for example, you could just name it pinball machines, and then as you add your games, you'd have to type in all the information, like the value, the who it's made by and stuff.
Well, there is a website right now called VAPS, VAPS. It might be a .org. It's not like yours exactly, but people do put what kind of arcade games and what kind of pinballs they have and the condition of them. But it's not a price guide, but it is a good way to see what people are collecting. You might want to just take a peek at it and see how they've set it up, and maybe you can find a way that you can integrate it into yours. I love it. Love it.
That should be something I'll be sinking a lot of time into, writing a whole bunch of code and getting all that working.
Love it.
So yeah, that's been taking up a lot of my time this past month. But what you been playing anything?
Yeah, you know what's been taking up a lot of my time?
So,
This new game called Rogue Legacy. And if you know what a rogue game is a game that when you play it, you have a character created, and when you die, you pretty much die. There's no like save places. Rogue Legacy is an independent game. You can get it on Steam, GOG. You can get it directly from them. There's a couple of other places. If you Google it, you'll find it. I think they're going for $15. It's on the PC, pretty much only. I don't think it's on Mac yet. But what it is imagine if you remember Ghosts and Goblins. Okay, you've got this side-scrolling little knight. And what was the game you told me last time? I told you it was kind of similar to uh, the one we just spoke about.
Infinity Blade.
Okay, so you got Infinity Blade where you have to go into the castle and kill the different people that are in it, but you never really can get to it in one guy, obviously. Same premise, but except it's more like a 2D scrolling. You go into the castle, you fight all kinds of people like Castlevania style, so it's like a platformer. Eventually, you will die. And what the premise of makes this game so cool is your descendants will then avenge you. So you'll have a choice of three different people. And you might be a knight, it might be a paladin, it might be some kind of assassin kind of guy with different skills. But what's great is each one of them will have some kind of birth defect. Like one guy might have, I forget the disease name, where you don't see color. You're colorblind. So if you pick that guy, as he plays his part of the game, everything will be in black and white. The next guy might have giganticism, and he'll be huge, but not necessarily as an advantage. You know, he might not be able to fit in certain things, or jumping might be a problem.
So wait, when you die, you get to pick from
Yes,
characters then, and they
when you die, you then see a family tree. Like after you've dead, somebody, you did the nasty, I guess, while you were alive. So there's three other people.
Yeah.
Might be male, it might be female, and they've chosen different paths in life. It might be a knight, it might be some other kind of class, and each one has some kind of problem with themselves, some kind of deformity. So you get to choose which one you want, and then you play continuing at that point, and then when you die again, it starts over. But as you progress, you get to get gold, and you get to buy permanent upgrades that when you die genetically, I guess, will carry over. So let's say you get some kind of better fighting skill. When you die, the next characters will have inherited that better fighting skill. So the premise of the game is eventually throughout all the changes, you'll eventually get to the end with all the extra skills that you have gotten throughout the game. And it's always different. It's completely different every time you play. The descendants are randomly generated every time. So it's just a great concept, and it's so much fun for $15.
Yeah, that sounds cool. What's the funniest thing that you've had? Ailment or whatever.
Ailment, right. There's a dyslexia one. Things are backwards, and the black and white one's cool because it reminds me of playing my Atari 2600 back when I was a kid on my black and white TV. So that's kind of cool. I mean, there's actual like gonorrhea, like all kinds of diseases that affect you in one way or another. And your stats will be reflected because of that. I'm not sure what gonorrhea gives you, but it's awesome.
Yeah, and you are right. Like the graphics on it, they do remind you of the like Ghosts and Goblins, and
it looks like Ghosts and Goblins meets it looks like Ghosts and Goblins. It plays like Castlevania, and it's such a fun game. For $15, it's totally worth it. These independent makers are really knocking it out of the park.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah, it's fun playing all those games.
Yeah, so I constantly play that all day long. I wish I would have told you about it earlier, but I just discovered it like 3 days ago, and I've been playing it nonstop. So again, it's Rogue Legacy. All right, so what about you? What else are you up to?
Well, it seems like a long time ago, but since the last podcast, I went out to the flea market and got tons of stuff. I posted a video on it, and one of the things that you commented on was I went out to the flea market, and my dad is always asking me to get Mad magazines.
Love those.
And I never really see them. I mean, he doesn't want them because they're, he doesn't want them for value or anything. He just loved reading them when he was growing up.
Yeah.
So I went out and I saw this guy. He had a huge stack of Mad magazines, and some of them were missing the covers, and he had these little books from Mad that were like from the 50s. But my dad was real excited about that. I gave him them for his birthday.
Oh, I remember reading those magazines when I was a kid, and they were very topical because they would talk about whatever movie. They would spoof whatever movie was playing at the time. I remember I had an episode of Grease, the movie Grease with John Travolta. Yeah. So that had to be like, what, 79?
Yeah.
They were so funny. They were great.
Yeah, so that was cool. I mean, not game related, but I don't know. I always go out and I always look for them, and I got them all for. I mean, the price pretty much came out to less than 50 cents a piece,
That's
so
awesome.
super cheap. Yeah, and then I got a PS3 at the flea market.
The system?
Yeah, a PlayStation 3.
How many do you have now? Like 5?
No, that's the second one that I've gotten.
Oh, okay.
And well, I wasn't gonna buy it, and I was like, why are you selling this for so cheap? And because normally you just figure it's junk, you know.
Yeah.
So the guy was up there, and he was up there with his daughter. She was like 12 years old, so I'm figuring he's probably not trying to scam people in front of his 12-year-old daughter, you know.
So you would think.
Yeah, and I asked him. I said, why are you selling this for actually you wanted $60, and I was like, why are you selling that for so cheap? And he said he bought a PS3 and an Xbox 360 for his son, and his son just plays the Xbox 360, so it's just sitting around.
I thought you were going to say something like he's trying to raise money for braces for his daughter or something
No,
like that.
no. So I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'll take a gamble on it. You know, it came with games. It had like Uncharted 2. It had a couple other games, and it came with a controller. And all this time, I've never owned a second PS3 controller. I've had a PS3 for like, I don't
But
know.
you have only one controller for your PS3?
Yeah,
You don't have many visitors come to your house, do you?
we always play Xbox for multiplayer. Except for one time I had to have my friend bring his over. We played Trine, so he brought over some controllers. But I bring the thing home, and I was really excited in my video I showed, and brought it home, and it works fine. It's got a little bit of like a loud fan,
Right.
but I mean I plugged it in, and it works perfectly. And the actual reason that I was hoping I could do is I wanted to ship it to my friend over in Japan, and shipping was just too expensive. It wouldn't have even really been worth it.
Is there a voltage difference there? Like,
Um,
does it need a different kind of plug?
I think there is, but actually, I don't know. No, I don't think there is over there. I can't
Okay.
remember. I know he
So,
would. I know he would be able to use it. He'd either have to get an adapter or something, but he would be able to use it.
uh, so when you buy an actual console, do you ever like sniff the back of the console to see if there's any like burning smell or something in there?
You mean before I buy it?
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, I know,
I've
for
never
instance,
done.
I have all the consoles, right? I have PS3, Xbox, all that stuff. My kids just can't resist pushing the buttons,
Yeah,
and it's inside like a closed little area, and it becomes so hot. It's like 99,000 degrees if I open that little door where it is. And I know it's going to burn out at one point or another if I don't shut it off. The fan is going like 8,000 RPMs. So
yeah.
I'm just wondering, do you ever like check it out by smelling the back or?
No, normally I can honestly say that I've never smelled a video game console. I've never even thought to, but it does make sense because I mean they do burn out, you know. Well, I don't know. Smelling the console in front of the guy selling me it would make sense, but I can see where you get that from.
Well, sometimes they smell like cigarettes too. Like if it's
Yeah,
been in a house
I
that
do run
smells
into
like.
that a lot. You'll run into a lot of, especially like the old like Nintendo boxes and stuff because they're
Yeah,
cardboard and they sap that up a little bit more. But no,
yeah.
I've never done that really. Although I did get one console. I forget where I got it. It must have been a flea market or something. I don't know. And I had it in my house, and I ended up, I forget something was not working or something, and I opened it up, and there were all these bugs in there, like
Dead. I hope,
dead
right?
bugs. Yeah,
Ugh.
it was nasty. I was like, that's the
Ah.
first time that I was like, now sometimes if it's old consoles and stuff like that, I will. I mean, I won't do it before I buy them, but I'll check to make sure, like I'm not bringing crap into my house.
Yeah,
You
that's the
know?
downside of buying this kind of stuff secondhand. Ooh.
Yeah, and it's only happened once, but you only need it to happen once before you start thinking about it, you know?
Why did you open it up? What made you open it?
I don't know. Something wasn't working on it. I mean, it was the old PS1, so it was probably either like a laser issue or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, there was probably a thorax on top of the laser eye, and it wouldn't play right.
Oh man. But
Some
so
kind of mandible got blocked in there.
yeah.
Ugh.
So I mean, I'm sure you're wondering. You say, how many PS3s do I have? I don't need two PS3s.
Right. That
So
would be a PS6 or something. What is that?
what I think I might do is I may have to actually trade into GameStop, dude, because I never like trading. Actually, I don't think I've ever traded anything into GameStop, but they said if I think the total if I take it up there, I'd get like $130 or something for it.
That's not bad for a resale. I'm shocked.
Yeah, well, I think it's either part of a deal. I think they have one like currently as we speak right now. I think they give you double what it would be worth. And then the other one that I knew they had was if you were going to put it towards a next gen console, they gave you an extra like 30% or whatever.
Oh,
So
okay.
I may do that. I don't know. I feel bad because I mean that's a good amount of money I guess for it. But I mean
Yeah.
I only spent 50, and I wanted to send it to my buddy in Japan, and he actually just bought a brand new one over there because I couldn't send this one. But
Yo, your buddy in Japan's always on the receiving end. Is he sending stuff back to you?
oh yeah, he sent me. I put a video up. He sent me this awesome package. I don't know if you saw the one with the Winnie the Pooh costume.
Oh, that he
Dude,
sent that to you?
yeah, he sent that. And the reason he sent that one is because I wanted the Japanese Shadow of the Colossus and Eco, which is like
So he sent you Winnie the Pooh instead?
well, he had been wanting to send me that anyways, so he already told me that was gonna be in there. Yeah, I opened the whole package up on in video.
I've seen the video. I didn't know it came from him though. I didn't put two and two
Yeah,
together.
he sent it to me because we used to always go out for Halloween back in college and stuff, you know.
Mm,
And so we were always joking about our costumes. One year I was like Ronald, or not Ronald McDonald, the Hamburglar.
okay.
It was awesome. The other time I went out as a ghillie suit. I think I mentioned that.
You mentioned that. I remember the ghillie suit story.
Yeah, and then I don't know. He just figured he'd send that over, and he sent a bunch of candy and Pocky and all that stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, he actually sends me more stuff.
Sweet.
And yeah, so the other thing that I got out at it was actually at a thrift store, not the flea market, was an Atari 2600 Heavy Sixer. Now, do you know about these?
Sure, of course.
You
I
know
think I've got two of them.
thing, right?
Yeah. I've got that. I've got a Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of those.
So I walk into the thrift store, and the thrift store has games up in the front, and that's where I normally look. And then down in the back, they have all these electronics section.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk down there, and I see this Atari 2600, so it catches my interest, and I walk over, and I noticed it's the Heavy Sixer. And you know the Heavy Sixer is worth like a regular Atari 2600 is maybe $30,
Mm-hmm.
and the Heavy Sixer is probably 150 to 200.
Yeah, that's
So it's
a good
worth
find.
more. And so I walk in, and there's like a kid looking at me next to where I pick it up, and I'm looking at it, and this kid's there. And I was like, what's this? What's this guy looking at? You know, I didn't know if he wanted the Atari or whatever.
He's a kid.
Well, he was like, yeah, maybe 13, 14, something maybe.
Oh, okay. So he's not a kid. I'm thinking like he's an 8-year-old kid. I would have like
And not,
body checked him or something. Get away.
not an 8.
Get lost,
I don't
kid.
know how old he was. He was a low teenager, maybe.
All right, so he's a teen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm thinking he's just looking at the stuff. So I'm walking around the store some more. I go back up, and I actually got Final Fantasy VII there too. And I go up to pay, and I looked in one of the cases for these PS1 games that I'd gotten, and one of the games was missing a disc. It didn't have it in there. So I said, I'm going to run back over and just look through the other PlayStation games and see if it's in one of the wrong cases.
All right.
So I walk over, and this kid's over there again, and he's looking at me again. I'm like, he's like, you're going to clean up all these PS1 games. And I was like, no, I'm just looking for that one disc. And he says, you put up YouTube videos, don't you? You're Dinky Dana.
Oh shit.
And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. So he was sitting there, and he said that he had been watching my videos and stuff, and he never had any of those old consoles and never really looked for games or anything. And I told him, I was like, you know, what's your YouTube name? And he said he didn't ever put up any videos or anything.
He was just a watcher, a fan.
Yeah, and I said, have you ever left any comments? And he said, no. So I said, well, you should leave a comment on one of my videos. And he said, if I put one up for that deal that I got, the Atari 2600, I'll leave a comment. And I put up the video, and he actually did.
Ah, sweet.
Yeah. So he was
That's
like,
great.
yeah, it was pretty neat. But
Yeah, it's always nice when someone, recognizes you. It gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling inside.
yeah, especially when people were like,
So wait, so that's why he was staring at you. He wasn't like,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, he probably knew down in the bottom, but he didn't say anything. And then when he saw me again, he said something.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Cool.
so that was cool. But yeah, so some cool deals. I got a couple other things. I got a Yoshi's Island boxed and complete for $15.
Love that game.
That game is so silly.
I love that game.
I remember. Yeah, I love the one. It's something. What's the name of it? Something Get Dizzy is the name of the level, and it's like you're all on drugs and stuff. Like everything's all blurry and stuff. It's awesome. Oh, it says, oh, wait. Touch Fuzzy, Get Dizzy, I think is the name of the level.
Oh, I have no idea what that level. I know the level, but I have no idea what it's called.
I was cracking up. Yeah, you go in, and if you get hit by the enemies, your screen starts getting all wavy.
Yeah, the Wiggles.
Yeah,
That's Nintendo was showing off the SNES's abilities back then.
yeah. And then I remember the Mario would always be like screaming. People always. Oh man.
It was an awesome game, man.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I've been picking up. Got a good bit of stuff. So
Nice.
you got anything else going on?
Yeah, I actually do. I have this weird thing that I did. I did it yesterday, actually. I auditioned for some character voices in a RPG that's actually pretty popular in Spain. They're bringing it over to the United States, and they're asking for voiceover artists to fill some characters in the game. And I actually submitted a whole bunch of characters, and I don't know if I'm going to get it because they also asked for, put down how much you want for each voice, and it was listed like, okay, here's the character, they have 17 lines. Here's another character, he has X amount of lines, but the hero has like 900 lines, and
Yeah.
then so, how do you base that? Obviously you're not a union, it's not a scale, it's just what you think you can do it in. I'm like 900 lines. So I actually did a bunch of these voices, and some of them are pretty funny. It's a fantasy D&D-esque kind of game, so it was right up my alley. So I ended up doing the voice for the hero, the voice for his other players in the game, the DM, which they wanted to be like a nerd. So I did him with a nerd with a lisp. Um, they wanted the bad guy demon and a whole bunch of things. So I put a whole bunch of voices. Maybe we'll play a couple of those voices on the podcast so you can get a laugh.
You know what one I liked was that link that you sent me a couple weeks ago of you doing those voice acting clips.
Oh, that was for an anime
Yeah,
fan dub.
I may have to put that audio clip in here.
See, I know very little anime. I know old school anime. The new stuff, I'm a complete idiot on. So this was obviously a new kind of anime cartoon that I didn't even know the name of it. But basically, I tried out a bunch of roles. I ended up being the wizard who sounds like a pimp. That was the instructions I got.
Let me show you what else is hard out here for a pimp.
So I made him sound like a pimp.
He sends me this link over. Yeah, you're like, here, yeah, check this out. And then they don't tell you anything about what you're supposed to do. It's just you see the picture of the person, you see the lines, and then you have like one line of, I guess, what do they call it? Like a hint as to what they want it to sound like. So that guy sounds like a pimp.
Actually, yeah, right. And then they give you lines from the actual script that they're going to send you, and they give you a little bit of a direction. Sounds like a pimp. So what does that mean? So a bunch of people submitted. I submitted mine. So maybe I was up against like 10 people, and I got that part. And then there was another part for some kind of little fuzzy little creature.
That one
It looked like what was that thing? It looked like a little snowman.
I don't know, but my friend knew what anime it was from. I forget which one though. He told me.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got that part too. So
That's
they
because
sent
that
me
one was
this.
awesome. I love that. I was like gonna put that as your ringtone on my phone.
So yeah, because the actual line was like BR 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 ABBR, some like not even a word. So everybody just assumed it was like the sound of somebody being cold, like "Brr." I just went off on a totally different direction, and we'll play it. I mean, they liked it and they gave it to me, so I got the scripts. I'm gonna have to do them by the end of the week, and then they're gonna put it in a video that they're gonna redub. It's just fan based.
Well, the other question is, okay, so I watched that game. It had text. Did the Spanish one have voices?
Okay, the game that I did the voiceovers for in the Spanish game is called Unepic, and you can Google it and you could see. And yes, as the game plays and you see the words, you would hear the voiceover as well.
Okay, so that they always had that.
Yes, I heard the Spanish version too, and I don't speak Spanish, but I know a little bit of it. And so you kind of get an idea of what they're looking for, and you do your own thing. They give you at least they gave me a better description on this one. They would say like this is a teen he's 26, has a lot of angst, and he's horny. That was
Yeah.
that was the description. He's horny. So, and then they give you a line to read.
Nice.
So we'll see how that plays out. But I think I asked for too much money. They're never going to give me that money. They're never
Be
gonna do
awesome if they do.
Well, for 500 lines, or well, no, what was it? It's 900 lines. That's a lot of work. Your voice is shot.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So that's what I did just recently.
Oh yeah, another thing I was playing. I mentioned last episode that I picked up Kingsfield games.
Oh yeah, the Eternal Darkness successor.
Oh no, the Dark Souls, the ones that were the originals for Dark Souls.
Oh right.
Yeah,
You picked that up. You picked it up.
Yeah, last episode I ordered them and I went onto eBay and bought them and I got them in the mail and I tried playing them. Man, they are brutal. I only played for like an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours, and I did record myself playing. I haven't put it up yet because it's pretty pathetic. I just sit there and keep dying, and oh man, it's hard.
What year is that from? What game year?
It's PlayStation 1. I don't know exactly what year it'd be.
Do you think games back then were harder than they are now?
Well, that's the thing. See, this game is really hard.
Yeah.
But I know I could see exactly where they made Demon Souls and Dark Souls out of this.
All right.
So I'm sure once I get more time to put into it, I'm sure I'm going to like it. Because basically it seems like one of those things where even in the video that if I put it up, which I probably will, you could see it's one of those things where you play through a little bit and then you learn what to do. And then you can make it a little farther each time. So after you learn the game, you'll be able to beat it better. But, oh man, I don't know. I watched the video back. I'm like, nobody wants to watch this. It's like right from the very beginning of the game, I turned around and wanted to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
This is just a big monster that just kills me in one hit. I'm just done. And then you try and go a different way, and there's just tons of stuff going on.
Well, that's what I mean. I think the games back in PlayStation 1 era were just harder.
Yeah, I think, yeah, well, games now, they kind of hold your hand and make everything easy.
Yeah, right. That's the way I like it. Hold my hand, please.
See, I don't always like that.
I suck at these
Which is
games.
why I like Demon Souls and Dark Souls. So I am going to go through these because I can already tell. I'm going to appreciate the Dark Souls and Demon Souls even more after playing these. And, I mean, there are so many similarities, even your stamina. So you'll swing your sword, and you can't swing it. You can only swing as fast as your stamina replenishes. So if you want to build like a knight character or something, you want to build up your stamina so they can swing faster. But I always play as a mage, so I have no need to build up stamina, stuff like that. So it's cool seeing these original games, because that was in, what, 94 it came out.
You see, if you and I ever played co-op, it would be awesome, because I have never, ever in any game played a mage. It's the last character I would ever consider playing.
Oh, they're the best ones. But yeah, I always take mages. Well, I shouldn't say I always take mages. I always like ranged characters. So sometimes like Baldur's Gates, I always pick the archer.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just like being out of the combat and being more I'm real defensive usually.
Right. See, I'm more of like run into the fray and just kill, and I end up getting killed really fast. But unless I have a good defender helping me in the background like you, then okay.
It's funny. I always play with my cousin Fat Kelly, and we always play games, and he's that type of character where he just bum rushes in, guns blazing, you know.
That's
and
me in real life.
Yeah, and so yeah, when we play together, you know, sometimes it works real well because I'll be like the support role. Like Borderlands 2, we do that. I'm always the sniper and stuff, and then he'll be running in and distracting enemies, and then I snipe them and take cover off of them sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should play something.
Let me ask you a question.
What's up?
I got a friend. His name is James, and a lot of time, you know, we grew up together. But like you have many friends from your childhood. We're still friends now. And we'll play some emulator games from, let's say, the Commodore 64. And he'll play a game that he absolutely loved back in the day on the original Commodore, now on an emulator.
Yeah.
And there are these huge load times, and the graphics obviously are not up to par with today. And he'll say to me, how the hell did I play this game back then? How did I play this? It's like so slow. It's so... Do you ever get that feeling when you play an old game from like a PS1 era or an older game?
PS1 is the one that I would think of most.
Yeah.
The game that I would think of most is Resident Evil. Because back then, like you go back and you play... Did you ever play the original one on PS1?
On the PS1 I did not play further on beyond that because I just gave up on it.
Okay, yeah, because I remember I didn't actually buy a PS1 right away, and I went over to my friend's and saw his, and I went out and I bought one, and I didn't even have enough money to get a game, so I borrowed Resident Evil from my friend, and I brought it home, and I thought those graphics were like the best thing in the world.
At the time.
Yeah,
Right.
and they were
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
You know, you
They
see
were. I remember them
see-
distinctly.
yeah, and you have like the cutscenes are all good, and you know, I go back and I play it now, and I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
You know, it's so pixelated. It's like the pixels are the size of their head.
Okay, so it's a universal thing. I mean, you have this thing in your mind of all the fun that you had,
Yeah.
and that kind of fills in the blocky pixels, and it looks fantastic, and it's got a billion polygons, and then when you actually play it, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, which see, like for me, a lot of people do that, and they just won't play them because they don't like it. Like me, I'll still play the game, and I just
Yeah.
appreciate that. You know, that's what I just remember what it was like back then. But the problem with that is, when you go to recommend games to people,
Yeah.
they don't have that memory of how cool it was back then. You know, you recommend Resident Evil 1 to somebody that's playing current games, and they're gonna
Yeah, they say it's unplayable.
yeah, this
they
is rough.
Yeah.
So
No, I
I know
agree.
what you mean though. And then yeah, you brought up the Eternal Darkness one too. Yeah, I put in $25. There's a Kickstarter by the creators of Eternal Darkness, and they're having a I guess essentially a spiritual successor for it. And the thing that I'm worried about is they've done this twice before. They do like this crowdfunding thing, you know, and they try and raise money, and they've done it twice before, and it hasn't done anything. So I figure I'll put some money in and you know support them, and if it happens, it happens. You know, if it doesn't, oh well. You know, they don't. That's what's nice about Kickstarter.
You mean they never reached their goal, so they didn't get the money?
I don't know. I hadn't heard about it before this one, so I just was looking it up afterwards, and people said that they had done two before, and you know,
Yeah.
weren't really relying on it 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a trailer and everything. It looks good. They have. I mean, it looks like they're getting stuff set up. So I really hope so. You remember the game, The Eternal Darkness, when I talked about it, right?
Sure I do. Is that Kickstarter still live now?
Yeah, I just put money in a couple days ago. Or
All right, so we'll put a link up to the Kickstarter also. If anybody else is familiar with the game, maybe they want to put it in there and see if they can get this thing started.
yeah, so that's called Shadow of the Eternals. And I mean, yeah, you could even just go onto YouTube and type in Shadow of the Eternals. There's a trailer. But yeah, we'll put a link to the Kickstarter. And I mean, I think one of the reasons I think that they had issues was I believe the first number they might have put up was like 1.5 million or something, and they took it up.
They overshot.
Yeah, they took it down pretty quickly after because I think they realized that that's not going to happen or whatever.
You know who did the same mistake? David Crane, the guy that created Pitfall. He put in a Kickstarter. He wanted whatever $1 million something dollars. He made that announcement at the show that you went to, the Classic Game Expo, and it did nothing. It was such a major bomb, and he had, the money never gets collected, and now I don't think that game will ever get made. Yeah, I think Kickstarter should be like a subsidy to the normal venues. Like, you can't just rely on Kickstarter to make your game. That's crazy. You have to go through the normal channels, and I know that a lot of people, when they give you money, they want some kind of creative control, but that's the name of the game. I mean, but you can't ask for you and me and Joe Schmo to give up $1 million unless the game really has legs, like Shroud of the Avatar by Richard Garriott, Lord British. That game, they asked for $1 million, they got virtually $2 million, and of course, you and I contributed to that, and we're waiting for that game to come out.
Yeah, and they have a lot to show for it, so you feel like it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, every week they have a new video posted for you to see their roundtable discussions. They show the art. They definitely get you involved, and of course the general, if you contribute X, you will receive something in the game or something as a gift. But no, they're very good at letting you know where they are, what they're doing. They just showed their 3-month status. Yeah, that was cool.
Excited because that seemed very similar to Ultima Online.
Yeah, it looked almost the same, except a little bit more advanced graphically wise.
I think it's so funny because he goes in that video and he's showing you like the crafting in Ultimas. You could always craft furniture and armor and weapons and stuff. And so one of the things they show in that video is him showing the character going up, cutting down a tree, and getting supplies to build a chair. It's just so awesome seeing how much detail he wants to put into a chair. You know, it's like that's the thing that he wants to show you out of his 3 months. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what. I mean, not even to go into more Ultima or whatever, but that stuff makes a difference. You know, in the video, he says that if there's something in the game, he wants it to behave how it should. You know, like as if it was really there.
Yes.
And he said he worked so hard on making it so that people could sit in their chair, which back then was difficult. And I'm so glad he did, because my friends and we used to go to these houses, and they would have auctions, and everybody would just go in and sit down in a chair, and then they would put an item on the table and lock it down, and then in the journal you would bid on it, and whoever bid the most won. So
I saw that video too.
Yeah.
Where he cuts the tree down, he gets the wood, he goes to his house, he builds a chair.
It
and then
looks
he
so
goes
tedious to build a chair.
And then he goes to the bar, and the bartender says, "How are you? What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm building chairs." And the bartender says, "I can always use a few chairs." And he's like, "I can sell you some chairs." And the bartender goes, "You know, speaking of chairs, in a dungeon, there's the chair of death of
The throne
whatever."
of bone.
And then you go running off to the dungeon and kill the big guy. Now you got this huge chair,
It's like, yeah,
and you've killed the demon. You've got this chair made of bone. How do you get it home? It's like 7 feet tall.
it is massive.
They never show that part. You've got the chair of death, but yeah.
Oh man, yeah,
Logistics.
that was a cool video.
Yeah, that was fun. That was good. Good. I only wish the best for that team. I can't wait to play Shroud of the Avatar.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more updates and everything, so that's cool.
Nice.
Another game that I just pre-ordered, and have you ever heard of a company, Vanillaware? They made I think
No.
the game they made most recently was Muramasa the Demon Blade.
Okay.
And what's cool about them is they always use like hand-drawn artwork. It's all hand-drawn, and I pre-ordered a game. It's coming out on Tuesday, which would be the 6th, I guess. It's called Dragon's Crown, and it's going to be an online co-op or local co-op, and it's basically a side-scroller beat-em-up, and all the backgrounds, all the characters are hand-drawn. It looks really nice, and you can play online and go through, and basically I thought a side-scroller beat-em-up would be like maybe 6 to 7 hours at most. But it looks like they're going to take this one kind of, I'm hoping, more along the lines of like a Baldur's Gate, where you could build up your characters, and people are saying it's going to have all those RPG elements, and it's supposed to take 15 to 20 hours. So I don't know. I'm going to try and record some footage of my cousin playing that and put that up. So I love Baldur's Gate, and anything where you can like level up your characters like that style RPG. So
Listen, Dinky, one of these days I'm going to grab you. You're going to come in, or I'm going to go to you, and we're going to play a game of D&D. And you'll see how it all started. Seriously, if that's what you love, you'll see it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that I would like it. I can't believe my friends and I never played it.
I don't get it.
We were into all that stuff, you know, like all the RPG stuff, I mean, we all played Magic the Gathering. I mean, my friends still play it a lot of the time, and
Right.
I don't know, we just never got into that. But I know we would have had fun.
Well, I watched the video of that, and the video looked really good. What I liked the best about the video was, yeah, they're all hand drawn, but there's especially very careful attention to the female form. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they've got the nuances, gravity, and physics. Yeah, that's a good game. I would play it just for that.
Well, the one female character, the Amazon, I don't know what they were thinking with her. She looks like a man.
Well, listen, there's a lot of dudes that go for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, not me, not you, but there are people that like that kind of stuff.
I'll just send you a picture of it.
Come here, big boy.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm gonna crush your head like a watermelon between my legs.
Wait till you see the character I'll send you. Yeah, if it's a really good game, I might recommend that you should buy it, but I'll let you know.
You don't have to recommend it. I do like it. I might actually buy that on my own without a recommendation from Dickie Dana.
Oh man, yeah. So that's all I've been up to.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to go to the mailbag and see what our friends and fans have been saying to us?
Sure.
Okay, so this comes through on Facebook, and that's probably one of the best ways to get messages to us. So if you want to let somebody know something, shoot us on Facebook, Hit Reset Radio. It's from Michael Panter. And the question is, I know John is a big fan of Saturday morning cartoons. If there was any Saturday morning cartoon that you could make into a retro game, what would it be? And what features or game mechanics would you expect the game to include? For example, one Saturday morning cartoon I think would have become a game was Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. And this is going back. That's to the 80s. So I don't know if Michael is telling us his age or he just knows that. The fact that the show allowed for vehicles to be customized, the attributes would have to be an element of the game. Plus, I would prefer the game be mirrored after Blaster Master on the NES. That's an awesome question.
Yeah, he's got some thought into that one.
You put it in there, but yeah. First off, Jason the Wheeled Warriors was a very cool cartoon. It didn't last very long, but it was cool. So I thought about this question long and hard, and there are a lot of cartoons from the 80s that were actually converted into games. So I wanted to give him an answer of a cartoon that was never made into a game. So I thought about it, and the first thing that came to my mind was Ghostbusters, but of course Ghostbusters just recently came out on Xbox, PlayStation 3, and the Wii, and they did a great job. I think that I have most of those games. The Wii one's a little cartoony because of the power of the Wii. It couldn't do the realistic thing. But my answer to his question is going to be, and it's also old school, Thundar the Barbarian. Now, Dinky, you don't know about this TV show, do you?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Okay, Thunder Barbarian is a it's kind of like a spin-off of Conan. It's a post-apocalyptic world. A runaway comet comes between the moon and Earth, and it makes the orbits of the moon and the Earth go out of whack. The moon gets too close. The tides rise. Major catastrophic. The world is destroyed as we know it. Over several thousand years, they say that sorcery and magic and science kind of blend and they all come back. And you've got all kinds of mutant creatures. And the story is about a guy named Thundar, who is a barbarian, who has a sword that very similar to a lightsaber, except it's called a sun sword. It's basically a hilt that this yellow blade comes out, and it's kind of like flames more than just a straight line. He has two companions. He has this big Wookiee-like creature called a Mock. I think it's spelled M-O-K. And he doesn't speak. He just grumbles. He's very strong, very big. So imagine Chewbacca. And he has a female companion called Princess Ariel, who's a magician, which would have been great for a game because you got the balance of Thundar as a fighter. You got Ukla the Mock, who's all strength and hands. And you've got the wizard sorceress, who may be weak but has all the magic. I thought that would have been a great, great game. It's a great cartoon. If you've ever seen Thunder Barbarian, it's fantastic. In fact, Ukla, the funny thing about Ukla, the way they got the name for him was they took the letters for UCLA, the college, and kind of spelled it a little different and came up with Ukla by pronouncing it. But yeah, Thundar the Barbarian would be a fine game that I would love to see. That was a Ruby Spears production, so you should take a look at a couple of episodes, Dinky.
Yeah, I will. I'll look them up. I know they're putting a lot of the old cartoons on Hulu now, but I don't think that one will be on there.
Yeah.
To try and download it or YouTube it or something.
What was cool about that cartoon is every episode they would ride into a different major city that was destroyed, but they'd be on horseback. So they might be in, let's say, California on one episode, and in the next episode you'd see New York in ruins, and somehow they traversed the whole country. That's cool. And they were always wizards at the end that would be the villain. The villain was always the wizards. And I think that would just be such a great game. That would be so awesome.
Yeah, anything with those three character classes. Perfect for video games.
It sounds like it's made for it.
Yeah, it really does. That was a good question for you, because I know you're huge into cartoons.
What did you come up with that one?
I did, I was thinking, and like a lot of the shows that I watched already have games. So I was trying to think of one that didn't already have any games. And I don't know, it's kind of, well, I'll just tell you what it is. I don't know if you saw the show, but it was in 1989 to 91, and it was called Captain N the Game Master. And what it was is basically this teenage kid, his mom's yelling at him, to to come down and do some chores or something like that, and he's playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and he's sitting there on his cartoon TV, and you see King Hippo, and he's fighting him, and then this electricity comes out of the screen and sucks him into the game, and they call it Video Land, I think is what they called it. So he got sucked into these Nintendo games, and he'd be like his partners were they had a princess. She kind of, it looks like Zelda, but it's like the princess of Video Land. And then they have Donkey Kong's in there. They have Mega Man's in there, and he's this little green, like, he looks horrible. It's like a little green robot, and he sounds like his voice sounds just horrible. And then they have Simon Belmont's in there, and then they have Kid Icarus, and it's so annoying. Every other sentence that he says ends in Icus. So it'll be like, oh, let's go save the Princess Icus. And I'm like, it's I don't know. I remember watching it, and at that age, I mean, that's what I was into. You know, I dreamt of that stuff. Because, oh man, I don't know. I remember really liking it. I went back and watched some of this stuff, and it's kind of silly. But the reason I want that, like, if they remade a game like that, it'd be awesome to go through, kind of like how I really like that in Kingdom Hearts, where you go through Kingdom Hearts and you go through all these Disney movies, and you jump from one to the other, and you interact with the characters from each of them.
Right.
I think it'd be a really awesome game if they had a Nintendo game like that, where you're going through and you have a Mega Man level, and then all the different worlds and stuff.
I vaguely remembered this game. I remembered it, but really vaguely. So I had to look it up, and I said to myself, how the heck do they have all these characters in this one cartoon? Yeah. And it seems that Nintendo was the publisher behind it. They didn't draw it, obviously. DIC drew it, but Nintendo, I guess, had the rights to put all these characters in, and they made their own cartoon, which is awesome. It's kind of like Rock and Wrestling, where they had all the wrestlers from the WWF. Remember that?
Yeah.
You know, they're allowed to use their likenesses. That was fantastic. So I'm going to check this game out because I want to see how they're all portrayed.
And I'm pretty sure that the show played right with the Super Mario show, and they had another one.
The Supercade show.
Yeah, I think it was in between both of them. So it was like a 2-hour block of Nintendo awesome.
But that was late in the game. You said that was going into the 90s. That was pretty late.
Yeah, it was.
Wow. Captain N and the Game Master.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I'm going to have to add because I've been talking about this for a while now. I've made another website besides Mamecade.com. I call it toysandcartoons.com. I've been talking about it forever. I finally got it done. And basically, it's going to be a podcast-driven show talking exclusively about toys and cartoons from the 80s, 90s, and today, talking about news, things that are happening in the animation industry, toys that you might remember. And I've just kicked it off recently. I just got my first episode of the podcast, and we review Batman Beyond. No, wait, not Batman. Look, I'm doing it again. Beware the Batman. Beware the Batman, which just came out. So
hear John complain about Batman's lips.
I can't stand his lips. They look too sexy for me, man.
I was laughing. I was like, of all the things. That was great.
Well, if you see it, they're all like parsed, and he looks like he's ready to kiss the Joker or something. Like he's gonna make out with him. It's crazy.
Yeah, the site looks real good. I like it. So colorful, and yeah, it looks really nice.
Well, I've got polls that I need people to respond to. I've got all kinds of things. If you out there know anything about cartoons or a fan of cartoons of the 80s or 90s, contact me. Let me know, because I'm always looking for new help, new ideas, possible co-hosts, guests on the podcasts. If you're some kind of an authority on cartoons, give me a shout. And you can do it through the actual website itself, toysandcartoons.com.
Yeah, we'll have a link to that.
Awesome.
You gonna have a Facebook and anything for that?
Oh yeah, I've got Facebook on Toys and Cartoons. See, I've totally forgot. Thanks, Dinky. So toysandcartoons.com on Facebook. I need likes. If you can, please like it so I can get the thing off the ground. Also Twitter, Toys and Cartoons. You can find it on Twitter. You can also download the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher, or you can listen it right off the website itself.
Yeah, I actually didn't even know that you had a Facebook. I was just curious.
No,
I'll have to add that.
I have a billboard on the Santa Monica Freeway. I've got it all, man.
Nice. Oh man.
Now, I've been talking about this site for
Yeah, I
the better
remember.
part of a year.
Yeah, you've been talking about it for a while, and it looks good. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir.
So yeah, I guess we can go into some news that we wanted to share with people.
In the news.
Yeah, I have something just small. Just recently, the release dates for the Xbox One and PS4 were verified, and the Xbox One is coming out on November 19th, and PS4 is December 13th.
Doesn't that seem a lot? Doesn't that seem like it's really close to Christmas? Like too close?
Yeah, I was really surprised with the PlayStation. December 13th, I mean, it's hard enough even when they release a month early to get your hands on them. So they're
Yeah.
just going to be causing all kinds of problems releasing that. So I don't know. And I posted on Facebook and I asked, I wrote up, I've been writing short articles on my website, just cool things that I think people should check out and things like that. So I posted it up and I asked people, which one are you going to buy day one, PS1 or PS4 or Xbox One? Everybody basically said it PS4. There were, I think, two, maybe three people that said Xbox One, but everybody's saying PS4. So I can't wait to see what the sales are going to look like, how everything's going to turn out.
Yeah, I'm in that camp too. I gotta say, PS4. Me too.
Yeah, I think everyone's leaning toward that. I mean, I usually love buying consoles day one, and with these two, I don't know if I'm going to buy one day one. I don't know. I'll probably decide last minute if it's possible. Although then the PS4 I won't even be able to because it's too close to Christmas. I won't even be able to get one.
Yeah, I'll be lucky if I get one in the first quarter of 2014.
And then another small note from that I was reading about is BioShock DLC that's going to be coming out is going to be set in Rapture, and that is the place. That's the world where BioShock One took place, and it's the underwater city. And
Okay, so we're going back to Rapture.
yeah, so first of all, to see the characters from BioShock Infinite are going to be the ones playing this, and you're going to go through set back in that 1950s era, and it's basically it seems like he's putting a ton of work into the DLC. I mean, he could probably make an entire game off of this, so it's cool that he's putting so much effort into the DLC, and it's going to be the whole backstory of the original BioShock. And I saw some pictures. They're going to show where the little sisters came from, and they hinted to it. He didn't say it for sure, but I'm pretty sure they're going to start be talking about where the big daddies came from and all that stuff. And it takes place the first half of the game. Ken, what is his name? Ken Levine. He did an interview. The first half of the game is going to be before everything got destroyed in Rapture, and then the second half of the game is when everything goes to shit and there are all the like splicers and stuff. So he seems like he's really trying to put some quality DLC out, and I can't wait. So it's
Do we have a release date on that DLC?
no, he didn't give a release date, but it's not gonna be too long off.
All right, so let's see what else is in the news today. ESRB, we all know what that is, right? Those annoying little stickers that tell you if you should be watching this video game or not. They have now decided after 10 years of modifying the look of the ratings that'll be on the box. What do you think, Dinky?
I don't think anybody looks at them in the first place.
Yeah,
Most of the time.
yeah. I saw the pictures before and after. Can you even tell the difference?
Honestly, no. If I didn't see them side by side,
Yeah,
I wouldn't even be able to tell. I
yeah,
thought it was ridiculous because you sent me it, and I was like,
yeah.
you can't even see the difference. So I don't know. They took out like two words.
They took out two words. They turned a black background to a white background with black letters. They reversed that, but it's exactly the same. It says the same thing. They claim it'll be better visibility. I don't know. Maybe, I
All
guess.
they really did was take out content rated by ESRB,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, really. So now, do you think parents actually look at those when they decide on what to get their kids for a holiday or something?
I don't know. I mean, if probably, I mean, they probably at least like see it, but making little changes like this isn't going to make a difference.
Yeah, yeah. And in the advent of all the games that you can actually now download from, PlayStation or Xbox, how does the the ESRB relate to the downloadable content?
I do know now when you download games, right in the beginning, it always shows that warning
Yeah.
as the game loads up before all that stuff. You know, they'll have like partial nudity or something like that. You know, violence.
That probably helps the game selling, don't you think? Like I remember in the 80s when they made a big deal about rock and roll music and they had Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore, up at Washington trying to put parental notices on all the records back then. And they even had Dee Snider of Twisted Sister have to appear before Congress to explain his actions and the lyrics of his music. And they slapped on that parental advisory sticker on every album that had some kind of whatever they deemed unacceptable. And it shot the record sales through the roof. It totally had the total opposite effect.
Yeah, that's like all the publicity for Grand Theft Auto and stuff. I mean, that just makes it more well known. You know, and
Exactly.
then people are saying, "Oh, I want to go see what that's all about." But
Of course.
I don't know. I mean, the ESRB is good. I mean, you know, if people, you know, if you're a responsible parent, you should look at that. But I don't know. These changes are so stupid. I mean, I'm looking at them right now. They're pathetic. It's
Okay.
funny.
Awesome. What else have we got today to talk about in the news?
The EA guy, this EA sued by an NCAA player for using his likeness.
So the deal with that is an NCAA player had an image that it's an avatar that looks remarkably like him, has the same number as him, and a basic stats like him, and it was put in the game. And he sues EA because he says his persona is being used in the game without his permission and probably without payment, which is probably what he wants.
Yeah.
And it went to court, and EA actually lost. They lost this case.
Yeah, which you wonder where that's gonna be going in the future.
Well, it's weird because I've got it in front of me, and this is how they balanced it out. EA argued that their First Amendment right was to use this fellow's name. His name was Sam Keller, the likeness in an expressive work such as a video game. So they were saying First Amendment they were counting on. In the meanwhile, he was complaining about, it looked like him and all that stuff. So the judges used something called, there's a test, the transformative use test. And what they do is they look at the character, whether the use of someone's identity is transformative, that is, creates something new or different, or a different purpose or character. So being that he's a football player and they used a guy that looks like him who's a football player, that means it was not transformative, and that means they basically ripped him off, and the judges sided with Keller.
Yeah, which is weird because that's basically like in in Futurama they use like Nixon's head and stuff, you know, and something like that they said would not be protected because it's not a realistic situation, you know.
That's the key. It's got to be realistic. It has to look realistic. If it's a parody or if it's something that's non-realistic, it kind of slides. But if it's realistic, which is where arcade games, video games, and of course movies are going, this could have huge implications for Hollywood. Even if you have a character that kind of looks like another character,
Yeah, like that Lincoln movie that came out or something, you know.
right? Historical characters might be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. That's so difficult to get into. I mean, the line between some of that stuff is so thin. Like, how do you tell who's responsible for what, you know?
Well, that's what courts and lawyers are there for, I guess.
Yep.
Incredible. Well, it's just interesting that EA lost this one with all the money in the world that they have.
Right.
It's always funny when they lose things like this.
So
The feel-good story of the day, folks.
John shows me this link. And I'm like, what on earth is this? 10-year-old boy saves passed out grandma behind the wheel by steering the car. So I pull up the article and I'm like, what is this even going to be? So there's this 75-year-old woman driving her, I think he was, 10 years old, and there was a 4-year-old in the back. And the grandma passed out at the wheel.
How fast were they going?
She's driving and passes out. They were going 60 miles per hour.
They're flying.
And this kid, what did he say at first? He said, "Is this a joke?"
He thought Grandma was doing some kind of crazy test. I'm going to
Pass out. I'm gonna pretend and close my eyes at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, that is like the worst joke ever. But yeah, I mean, he's a 10-year-old, you know. So what he decides, you know, he figured we're going 60 miles an hour, and they started drifting into the other lane. So he reached over and steered the car and got them almost like came over onto the side of the road into a ditch and made and like it was, nobody got hurt, nobody got even injured at all. And they
Crazy.
interviewed him afterwards, and they said, you know, how did you know to do that, or how did you decide that that's what you were going to do? And he said it was from playing Mario Kart.
Mario Kart. Did you hear that, folks?
He saved his 60 or 74-year-old grandma going 60 miles down the road, and he from playing Mario Kart. He's what he gave credit to.
I love it. I love it. Oh God. Could you imagine if he learned how to drive in all those demolition games instead? Like,
I know. Yeah, if he's playing Grand Theft Auto or
if
something.
he's playing Grand Theft Auto, he'd kick his
That's why they have
grandmother out of the
ESR
car.
That's why they have ESRB on them.
Well,
But
listen, we're obviously grateful that nobody got hurt. Grandma probably woke up in a ditch somewhere going, huh?
yeah, that's a cool one. I couldn't believe that you sent that over, and I was like, wow.
And on that happy note, let's wrap it up. We'd love to hear from you guys. Leave us questions or comments on the Hit Reset Radio Facebook page or Twitter, and we'll try to get back to you on the next episode of Hit Reset Radio.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next month. So anyway, I could listen to some of these voiceovers that you did for that game.
Sure. Let's see. On Epic, here's the nerd voice. Try this out.
All right, let me play it.
That's it? A few dialogues? Even a minor cinematic? And moreover,
That's awesome.
the hero becomes nothing?
Oh God,
I'm playing it again here. I'm not even going to say anything during it.
That's it? A few dialogues? Even a minor cinematic? And moreover, the hero becomes nothing?
Dude, that is awesome. So that's the character that would have 900 lines.
No, that's the dungeon master. The horn. That's not the horny kid.
Oh, okay.
That's the DM. The horny kid. His lines are kind of weird. So
We'll save them for later until you get the job, right?
yeah, right. That's it. I want to see what else they have with that one. I also did a voice for Merlin.
Oh,
Try
yeah, I
that
see
one
that
out.
one here. Yeah, I'll play it.
Hit it.
Welcome, young warrior. My name is Merlin, and you are?
That one's good too. And you are?
And you are. Who the hell are you?
It's so different from the other one too. That's awesome.
And then there was a thing I did also for a bunch of Marvel characters.
Let's do Loki.
All right, Loki, cool.
Such bluster. How very typical. Ever the sheltered son. So many fractured delusions. You know nothing of war. For all these countless millennia, when it comes to the two of us, you seem to have avoided the simplest of conclusions. Instead, you feel the incessant need to avenge every wrong you perceive from your position of languid morality, as if it was some sort of game. Quite sad. But if it's war you truly desire, Thor, then Loki can happily provide.
Dude, that's awesome.
What a prick.
It sounds so different than your normal voice. All these do. And what we got down here, Green Goblin.
Green Goblin versus Spider-Man. Do it.
Let's do that.
We all wear masks, Spider-Man, but which one is real? The one that hides your face? Or the one that is your face?
I like that one. That one's good.
Green Goblin.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a fun little hobby.
Here, I want to play that nerd one again. I'm going to play that again.
That's it? A few dialogues? Even a minor cinematic? And moreover, the hero becomes nothing?
Hey, that is great. I hope you get that just so I could play the whole game and hear the...
You like that nerd one the best.
I think that's my favorite one. I could see, like, I listen to audiobooks and some of them have different voices for all the different characters. I could see you doing an entire book for it. That's crazy. That's awesome, man.
All right. Well, I hope that was fun for you as much as it was for me.